Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Today's video is going to be a news update video, but before we get into it, we're trying to hit 400 subscribers by New Year. At the time of recording this video, we're on 392, so we just need 8 more. It'd be massively appreciated, and there'll be plenty more videos in the future, especially in this January transfer window. Let's get into it. So the first one is more of a minor thing, but I think it could lead to something else. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that it's been rumoured that Sam Greenwood is going on loan to Swansea. So before we get into this, let's obviously talk about the fact of what they did to us, with Dan James just not replying to calls at the last hour, and I think it could be probably a good bit of revenge if we did that to them regarding Sam Greenwood. But in all seriousness, with the fact that our squad's so injury stricken, getting rid of a number 10 like that when we've got Rodrigo out is probably a sign that we are going to bring somebody in January, and I think that could be John Swift. Now, if you haven't seen my last video, that was about John Swift, what he could bring to Leeds United and how he could help us this season. So if you want to check that one out, that'll be appreciated too, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it because it's plenty of information and stats on what kind of player John Swift is. So yeah, Sam Greenwood going out, is it a massive thing? Not really. He's not really featured in the first team. But it could mean that there's making way for somebody else to come in because we know that Bielsa likes to have a small squad. The second thing in this video is a potential transfer for Guilherme Arana from Atlético MG in Brazil. Now, he's a left back, so what this means for Firpo, I don't know. He's actually the same age as Firpo, at least when we signed Firpo, that he's 24. £9.9 million, not euros, is what's been sort of touted on transfermarkt.com, but we always know that goes out of the window when negotiations start. That's probably your starting bid, and then they'll say no, we want 15-20 million. He has played left midfield as well, so I'm not sure whether that's going to be an option for coming in on the left behind Jackie as another option there, as well as playing in left back. But what it means for Firpo, I don't know, because Firpo, whilst defensively this season he hasn't been great, he has done some good stuff going forward, and he was starting to get a little bit better and start putting in better performances before he got his suspension for his 5 yellow cards in total. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if we did sign him. I can't see it happening personally, because left back isn't really the spot in which we massively need to improve upon, because we know how versatile Stuart Dallas is, and if Firpo is out, then Dallas can play there, providing that we've got a fit rest of the team. So it's more of an entire squad being unfit issue that we've got when our defence is knackered, because we forget we've got 4 first choice centre backs and then Charlie Cresswell in reserve, and the fact that we've got 3 of them injured, 4 of them injured actually, is rather ridiculous. So I think this one's a case of just waiting for people to get fit again, because I can't see why we'd really need to sign a left back this January. It's not one of the most desperate areas of concern. The other one is a bit of an in-house thing with Calvin Phillips. Now, if you have Twitter, you'll have probably seen the video of Calvin Phillips. He was supposed to be doing some sort of song on karaoke, I think, but he instead said the quote from Wolf of Wall Street, where he says, "I'm not leaving, I'm not fucking leaving."
Oh, go on, Calvin! I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving!
But he has also said that he's happy at Leeds, but he does want a new contract. So that means one of 2 things. One, he wants to stay at Leeds long term, and he wants that new contract because that's what he's worth, and I believe that. I agree that with the amount other players are getting paid, he's actually not one of the highest paid at the club, so he should be brought in line with the likes of Bamford and Rafinha. Number 2, the club want to secure his value, so they want to basically get more money for him if they do sell him by having him in a longer contract and tied down to a longer contract, which means that these clubs will have to offer him more wages and a higher transfer fee to start with. So you're basically just securing his value, and as is his boyhood club, he would want to get the club as much money as they can for him if he was to leave. But as Leeds fans, obviously we all just hope that means that he wants to stay long term. But like I say, it could mean one of those 2 things. Mateo Josep Fernandez is supposedly joining from Espanyol, which is the other club in Barcelona. Apparently there's been a deal agreed for the 18-year-old striker. He's born to English parents, but in Spain. He's a youth academy striker, and he's been prolific through the youth system. Apparently, I've been looking at some of his goal scoring records before, and he's been fantastic in terms of goals to game ratio. He's fallen out of favour a little bit this season, and many people think it's because he's angling for a move. And I know that seems it almost seems a little bit above his station, given that he's only 18 and he's not actually played for the first team, I don't think. But if he's good enough and we can get him in the youth academy and he's young, he can obviously still be moulded by the right sort of coaches and the right sort of environment around him. People like Joffrey, Sam Greenwood, if he doesn't go to Swansea. He hasn't signed a new contract with Espanyol either, so it does seem like he does want to leave. But it's definitely a good investment if he's about £1 million, £1.5 million to get into our youth system. Then it does seem like a good point, really, because if you have seen my video from the other week where I explained Leeds' transfer policy, one of the things that I mentioned was about buying players young before they even start for the first team, in the hope that they could either be a fantastic player for the club or have an exponential rise in value. And signing him for £1.5 million in the grand scheme of things for a football club like Leeds United, that's not a massive amount of money. So if he did come good, then that would be amazing to get all the profit for him, or for him to play for the first team and be a great striker for years to come. Now, the final thing is that Leeds could be interested in Eddie Nketiah. Obviously, we know a lot about him because he came on loan for us in the Championship season where we didn't quite get promoted. But I just don't feel that he would be the right price. I think Arsenal will be asking a lot of money for him, and I don't think it'd be worth it, given that Bamford is an all-round better player, better in the press, probably a better finisher even though Bamford obviously needs a lot of chances to score his goals. And Nketiah also has shown a few times that he can miss absolute sitters. I'd like to see him back. I'd like to see him as a reserve striker to Bamford. It would be a good option to have off the bench. But then what does that do for Joffrey? Because Joe Gelhardt has come on and has done some really, really impressive things in the games that he has come on in. And I don't know if we do need somebody taking his place, basically taking his option for the first team, taking his route through. I'd like to see more of Gelhardt, and I'd like to see us sign maybe a defensive midfielder to back up Calvin. And now one of them that we have been linked with, surprisingly, is another returning player, which I don't think is going to happen, and nobody else does really, but it's Ronaldo Vieira. He's now 23 years old, playing for Sampdoria in Serie A, and he's been injured pretty much all of this season with a serious knee injury, but apparently he's looking like he might be returning to fitness. I don't know what he's like anymore, to be honest. I know that there was always the chant of he's only a teenager, he never gives the ball away. And that's kind of the player that we need in that midfield. Somebody tidy like Adam Forshaw, somebody who just keeps the ball, plays simple passes, very tidy, and gets you out of sticky situations. He probably would be all right off the bench, but I can't see it happening with the fact that he's been injured for pretty much the whole season. Do we really need an injury-prone player bringing in January when we're in such a sticky situation? So I think John Swift could come in. Eddie Nketiah, if it's the right price, but I just don't think it is. Ronaldo Vieira, I can't see it. Guilherme Arana, easy for me to say. That one's another one that's a bit iffy, because do we need a left back? But then he can also play left midfield, and it just depends whether the price is right for him. So it'll be interesting to see on those ones. This has been Leeds Lately, a Leeds United transfer and general news update. If you would like to see more player profiles and videos like the John Swift one on potential signings, then let me know who you would like to see one on. I know that we've also been linked with a couple of strikers from the MLS, but one of them seems to have gone dead a little bit in the water. So yeah, let me know what you'd like to see below, because I'd be interested to do some more videos like the one that I did on John Swift, especially about players that I don't know much about, so that we can all sort of get a bit of a better knowledge of what type of player they are and how they could fit into Bielsa's Leeds system. So thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you next time with another video.